Freedom is the oxygen of the soul, and different animals who get a chance to have it react differently. Excited, bewildered, grateful, or downright violent. Here is a combination of various emotions of animals that were freed for the first time. Min cried tears of joy. It was the day of independence for Min, the elephant who was raised in captivity, and his life was about to change. Min was throwing mud on his body and wagging its tail as a sign of glee. His eyes could be seen shedding tears of joy while he was waiting eagerly for his shackles to be removed. One by one, the chains were pulled out. And finally, he was freed. He slowly moved away from the spot, ready to walk towards life in the jungle and to face a life of freedom. Orangutan became aggressive. Animals have different ways of expressing their emotions when freed. While some dance, hug, and laugh, we find an orangutan who, instead of showing his excitement, turned on its handlers. Unlike his female fellow Sa, who celebrated freedom by climbing the tree, Jerry, the young male orangutan, was too impatient to be freed. And instead of paying gratitude or celebrating its liberty, he became aggressive. After flipping his cage back on the boat, he turned back and started turning over the other cage with another orangutan, Valent, inside. Fortunately, the team somehow managed to release the trapped and terrified Valent, who immediately climbed the nearby tree. Suddenly, Jerry became calm too, and enjoyed the treat offered by its handlers. Giraffes fall off container. Now check out this hilarious reaction of giraffes while being released into the wild. Just after the first giraffe managed to break out of the container with ease, the following two giraffes got overexcited, and in a rush to step out first, both fell over each other and landed on the ground below with a great thud. However, the pleasure of freedom made the pair stand, and both ran quickly toward the savannah. Group of lab chimpanzees. How do the sky and sun look? How does the grass feel? Or how to breathe in fresh air? All these questions were answered by this group of primates who were allowed to meet nature after 3 decades. Excited, nervous, amazed, surprised, and much more. Each chimp came out with its own unique expression, from walking like a boss, running on the grass, to climbing trees or enjoying an outdoor meal. Everyone was celebrating his freedom in his own way, as they were literally exhilarated to explore the world on the other side of the door. Above all, the way this group looked at each other, smiled, and hugged is just matchless. Pierce hugged his mother. This video is literally a touching moment when a vervet monkey was given a warm hug by its family after being released back into the wild. Pierce, the little monkey, was rescued after it was found injured, and after 3 weeks, it was taken back to its home, where its family could be seen eagerly waiting to welcome their kid. As soon as the cage door opened, Pierce hopped out and climbed the building, where his mother hauled him onto the roof and hugged him tightly. Pierce was embraced warmly by his troop, who had perhaps feared they'd never see him again. Vulture stretched its wings. Not only animals, but birds are also fond of freedom, because like all other beings, living a free life is their right. Just look at this vulture that was kept under intense medical observation after it was found injured, and when it was time to get back into the wild, the giant bird walked out of the small cage like an emperor. It stretched and flapped its huge wings to show how happy it was. The outstretched wings, followed by little dance steps, are a clear way to celebrate its freedom. And now, it was ready to soar high in the sky. Before we move any further, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you can keep watching our amazing content. Birds covered the sky. Generally, birds make soft purring calls or other sounds to show their happiness. But when a large group of birds is granted a chance to fly high after staying inside for a long time, this is what they'll do. 3 years back in Portugal, millions of pigeons were taken to an open area to release. Just when the gates were opened, all the birds flew out of the containers, and all we could hear was the flapping of millions of wings. After reaching high, the lucky birds could be seen spreading out all over and making different patterns to show their happiness. Wunda hugged. In February 2014, a video of a chimp melted everyone's heart, in which she can be seen showing a remarkable gesture of love and gratitude toward her rescuers. Wunda, the female chimp, was rescued from the bushman trade and was brought to a rehabilitation center, where she was given treatment with the affection of caretakers. After recovery, she was released to the Chinzulu Island, where she hugged her heroes as a response for being freed. Wunda's expression of gratitude and affection is doubtless a sight to behold. ROCCO SWAM. ROCCO the brown bear was kept as a pet in a tiny cage since it was very young. He lived in that 12 square meter small, rusted metal cage on a concrete floor without any climatic protection. Fortunately, after a long period of 8 years, his freedom was guaranteed and he was released into the sanctuary of northern Germany. ROCCO was really excited to feel the freedom for the first time and was so amazed to explore its new home. Now he has his own pool where he can swim and splash anytime. Bobby roared happily. In 2019, Bobby, a young male lion, was recovered from a zoo in Albania and was unwell. After rescue and proper medication, the lion was transferred to a big cat sanctuary where he breathed in the open air after 4 years of prison. He joyfully examined and played a lot at his own kingdom, and just like a real king, he echoed the whole territory with his powerful roar. Confused lion. Just look at this confused lion, who was not assumed to be released back into the wild after being captured. This injured lion was rescued, and after treatment, it was decided to release it back to the forest. But when it was taken back to the jungle, its reaction was totally unexpected. Instead of rushing out, it could be seen sitting calmly with a very big not interested attitude. However, after several attempts, it was forced to leave the enclosure. But still, the curious animal investigated its surroundings before jumping out. And after getting satisfied, it made off with the speed of light. Elephants mudbathing. The reaction of these elephants when they were first unchained to roam freely in the jungle is just priceless. At first, they were disoriented as they hadn't felt it before, and when they realized their freedom, they began with loud trumpets to express happiness. With a rolled trunk and curled tail, they enjoyed a mud bath and blew dust because they were happy and loving their freedom. With an exciting smile, the overjoyed mammals wandered and played around the woods. Swimming in a stream, just like a happy family, was the most exciting part of their celebration. Curious white lion. This rare white lion was released to its native land in South Africa after staying in an American zoo with its cub. The rescuers were expecting them to be aggressive, but when the enclosure was opened, the big cat was mystified about its freedom. Its body could be seen shaking and shivering as it was sensing the mud ground after so long. A few more steps, and here, the king was back to its form. And for the grown-up cub, it was more comfortable inside the cage rather than stepping out. It's a really strange reaction. Either this lion is shy, or it is too afraid to touch the grass. Or it might have developed a behavior of staying in its enclosure, which is why instead of celebrating its freedom, it preferred to grab and enjoy the lamb chop in its small kingdom. Male chimps released. A group of 6 male chimpanzees, after being used by labs, were allowed to explore a forest habitat for the first time in 2018. Confused and surprised, it took too long for them to put up the courage to walk outside. At last, one of them broke the barrier and walked around with a massive smile and invited the rest to join. One after another, the primates came out and encouraged the scared ones by hugging them. They explored the woods joyfully by climbing trees and bridges. One of them even tossed grass and bumped against a glass window. Watching this adventurous group is truly incredible. Tiger touched the grass. Now, look at this tiger rubbing its giant claws on the grass. You might be thinking, what's wrong? Well, let me tell you that there's nothing wrong. In fact, this tiger was trying to sense the texture of soil and grass as it was allowed to see the outer world for the first time after spending its entire life in a private backyard. Aria, the tigress, had spent 4 years of her life in misery, and now, after being rescued, she can be seen enjoying her freedom by exploring her new home and rolling in the bright green and soft grass. Spider monkey rejected freedom. While living as a free soul is a blessing for all, we find a little spider monkey who was not ready to leave its small cage. Its story began with other adult spider monkeys that were stolen and kept in a zoo in Peru. One day, a rescue team recovered all 8 monkeys and decided to release them into the wild. It was really heartwarming to see the tiny critters troop running excitedly toward the jungle and ascending the trees, besides Bruce, who refused to come out, scared and confused because it took too long to encourage him to leave. Finally, he stepped out and joined his fellows to celebrate independence. NAPA played with snow. NAPA, a grizzly polar bear, was living in a dirty cage with food leftovers and only went out to perform at a circus. After spending 12 years in prison, NAPA was recovered and transferred to Switzerland, where he was kept in captivity to learn to survive in the wilderness. And after 3 weeks, he was ready to discover the world for the first time. NAPA really appreciated its freedom and curiously explored his new environment. He strolled around the meadows and played in the waters, and during winters, he was absorbed enjoying the snow and also went into hibernation for the first time in his life. 54 elephants released. At another place, a group of 54 elephants was released with a remarkable reaction of happiness, pure joy and excitement. This is all you can see in the elephants who were unchained. And now, this group could be seen laughing, running, mud bathing, swimming, and splashing in streams, a traditional way of celebration. And why should they not enjoy it? After all, they were freed from never-ending bondage. Tiger shivered. An abandoned pair of tigers were recovered after remaining for 15 years inside a filthy train carriage. Although it was time to celebrate, they were scared because it was something they'd never seen or felt before. The food trap was enough to bring the female tiger out, but it took some time for her to step out. Once outside the cage, she can be seen exploring the place happily. On the other hand, it was too challenging for the male, who was literally puzzled and started shivering. But after seeing his partner out, he put up his courage and came out. With tears of joy, they both cuddled each other and walked around. They tasted fresh air and brushed up their forepaws. It was literally unbelievable for them to feel bright grass under their paws and the shiny sky above them. Chimps released after 40 years. Look at this adorable chimp dancing and enjoying its favorite fruit. Well, I think he deserves this. After all, he, along with his other fellows, had spent his entire life in captivity, and now they got a chance to explore an outdoor forest habitat for the first time. Their expressions ranged from excitement, wonder, and intense curiosity. They hugged one another in reassurance, foraged for food, and explored both forested and grassy areas. They were also inquisitive to stay on the tire and bridges with handfuls of apples. Dog hugged its owner. Mia, the dog, melted everyone's heart while showing a stunning reaction of love for her owner. Mia was away from her owner for a very long time and was living in a kennel. And finally, she glowed when she saw her keeper after 3 years. The exhilaration of the caged dog is clearly visible as she can't hold it anymore to meet her owner. Just when her lady opened the cage door, Mia, loaded with emotions, jumped straight into her owner's arms and could be seen cuddling and whining. The lady got emotional too, because it was a special moment as the pair met each other after so long. Pandas climbed trees. Imagine never stepping outside your own home and only knowing the carpet or the porch under your feet. That's what it was like for these pandas who were born in captivity and released back to nature after 2 years of survival training. The female panda, Ying Shui, left her cage and ran quickly into the bamboo forest, while the male panda didn't exactly know how to react and could be seen dismounting by showing his back. But as soon as his feet touched the ground, he also managed to flee to the forest without looking back and climbed at the nearest tree. Giraffes ran crazily. After staying for a very long time in bondage, 2 pairs of giraffes got an opportunity to be freed. The gentle giants were waiting eagerly to be released during the whole journey, and just when they saw the door of freedom opening for them, they came out impatiently and started running toward the wild as fast as they could. The speed of running, like jumping into the air, followed by a smile on their face, is a clear exhibition of excitement and happiness of getting freed from a long prison sentence. Lion freed. Born and raised in captivity, the pair of lions didn't know what their life should be in the wild. Instead, they were kept in a beast wagon as circus animals. Thankfully, their case got to the volunteers, who set out to rescue the big cats. Finally, they got to step and frolic on the grass of their new homeland. The pair embrace each other to celebrate their new journey, and now they were free to roam, hunt, and live a life they should be living in the wild. Cows ran and moped happily. For the first time in 6 months, a group of 100 cows with 100 blissful emotions were out to explore the meadows. Each of them was thrilled to feel the fresh air and taste the bright green grass. Some could be seen simply running, while others were so excited that they found it necessary to jump and hop in order to show how happy they were. One more group of cows showed a hilarious reaction when they were allowed to discover nature. Despite their massive anatomy, they could be seen jumping high into the air like tiny rabbits. One even shook its head crazily with a huge smile on its face. The way these giant mammals are celebrating their freedom is literally priceless. Rosie hopped joyfully. Rosie, a starving mare, was found depressed and was taken to a rescue home along with 2 other horses, where she stayed for many months and waited eagerly to see the outside world. And then, finally, the day arrived when she and her fellows were out to explore a whole field of grass. Rosie reared up with her front leg at the ground and could be seen running crazily along with her partners. Now she was all set to feel the freedom along with a healthy life. The turtle crawled quickly. Turtles are notorious for being lazy and slow creatures in the world after sloth. However, a sea turtle who stayed in a rehabilitation center for many months defied the given definition. In front of a huge, excited crowd with cheers and applause, the sea turtle was allowed to crawl back to its habitat. The delighted turtle, with a huge smile, wriggled quickly toward the ocean and could be seen embracing the waves with full excitement. It's time for today's open discussion. This extremely rare footage of the Siberian tigress was captured during the most memorable moment of its life, when it, along with 3 others, was released into the wilderness. The first 3 tigers were motherless grown-up cubs that were released after vital checking and tagging. They didn't want to miss the opportunity, so right after the opening of the gate, they could be seen growling and rushing towards the forest. In the last, the majestic female tiger came out with a high jump in the air and suddenly vanished into the wild, blurring the view with a pile of husks. Penguins enjoyed waves. Curious, nervous, and surprised, this group of 10 Magellanic penguins showed a series of mixed reactions with each step when they were allowed to swim back into the wild on the beaches of Argentina. These tiny penguins were transferred to a rehabilitation center when they were found in a state of malnutrition, and after recovering properly, the tiny Magellanic birds were reintroduced to the sea, where the happy, boot-high penguins waddled down a windswept sandy beach and plunged back into the waves to feel the freedom. Harbor seal ran crazily. If you want to know the importance of freedom, you must ask these innocent animals, because for them, freedom is life. Check the happiness of this trio of harbor seals who were released back to the ocean after staying in a care center. Although they receive unlimited care and affection there, for them, freedom is the ultimate charm. Speck, Pepper, Barkley, the excited seals ran crazily towards the sea, where a large wave welcomed them warmly and dragged them inside. And the delighted seals could be seen playing, waving their flippers and coming out of the surface as an expression to pay gratitude to their rescuers. Dolphins creaked. Tom and Misha, two bottlenose dolphins, were used for performing and providing swim-with opportunities for tourists until their fate took a happy U-turn and they got a chance to swim into deep oceans. The rescued pair was rehomed to a specially constructed sea pen where they learned to survive on their own. After that, the doors of freedom were open for them and they were allowed to explore the blue world for the first time. Tom and Misha were really delighted to swim towards a broad way and could be heard creaking joyfully. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.